Hi, this is Chris Casteel with the Oklahoman, theoklahoman.com. It is the day after the House voted to impeach President Donald Trump for the second time. The vote was 232 to 197. This time, 10 Republicans joined Democrats to make it a bipartisan impeachment vote, unlike the vote in 2019 by the House, which was all Democrats. So the process now moves to the Senate. There's not going to be time for a Senate trial. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that they're not going to take up this impeachment article, which was for inciting the insurrection that happened on January 6th and the riot at the Capitol, that they're not going to take it up before Joe Biden is inaugurated on January 20th. So we'll find out after that whether the Senate can convict a non-sitting president. It would be the first time in history, and there's lots of arguments that I'm reading on both sides already, but it could wind up being challenged in court. I mean, everything is. So before there is any kind of trial, maybe in the midst of the trial, there may be a legal challenge, maybe that goes all the way to Supreme Court, about the Senate's authority to do this, to conduct an impeachment trial for a president who's no longer, for a person who's no longer in the presidency. So we heard from all of the Oklahoma House members yesterday, all of whom had about the same thing to say about why they voted against impeaching. They're all Republicans. They all voted against it, all 5 of them. And there were 2 main reasons. One, that Trump was about to leave office and that there wasn't time for the Senate to deal with this. And number 2, that the impeachment article that was presented by the Democrats and voted on yesterday didn't go through the process that it normally does, where it goes into the Judiciary Committee. There's all kinds of fact finding. There are witnesses, including witnesses for whoever the president is. Back in 1998, when what would have been 1999, I guess, when the trial was actually, but 1998 was when the House voted to impeach Bill Clinton. And that process went on for weeks. There was a very long process in the Judiciary Committee that led up to the impeachment of President Clinton. And there was at least a process in 2019 before Donald Trump was impeached for the first time by the House. It went through Judiciary. There's arguments about whether Trump was allowed to give a defense in that process, but there's really no argument this time that he was not. That this really was rushed through in just a couple of days, and that the president wasn't allowed to give his side to. So that was the other Republican argument, that there was no chance for the president to mount a defense before the impeachment occurred. So today, Jim Inhofe, one of the 2 senators from Oklahoma, basically said in a written statement, "Look, I'm going to have to sit on a juror in this. There has been no defense in this yet, so I'm not going to comment on what the House sent over. But it'll be really interesting to see how this unfolds in the Senate again, whether it's even proper. It'd be the first time in history, and whether what impact that has. There's a lot of commentary and I think hope among Democrats that even though they can't remove him from office, which was what they wanted to do, was get him out of there quick, at least this would preclude him from ever running for office again. So that's kind of what's set up to happen, the next chapter of this. One thing I would mention before I sign off is the presence of hundreds of National Guard troops in the Capitol yesterday and outside the Capitol, and inside and outside, guarding the Capitol during this process, and just what an extraordinary thing that is. And we are a nation that for over 200 years has prided itself on the peaceful transfer of power, and that we're going to see a transfer of power that is hopefully peaceful next week on January 20th. But that peaceful transfer of power is going to have to be done with the military, the U.S. military's protection. And there were a lot of pictures. I know many of you saw them in newspapers, maybe on social media and on the nightly news yesterday. But it's not something. It's not something that you might have ever imagined if you ever, even considered it. The idea of all of that much military in the U.S. Capitol and outside the U.S. Capitol guarding Congress as it debated this. So we all know why it was there, but still, it's it's been quite an extraordinary moment. Again, Chris Casteel with the Oklahoman, and this story obviously has many more chapters.